Welcome back, people. Fantasy Bros. Let's get into it. We are starting this video. We are talking about buy low candidates from players who performed poorly but will do very well within the next couple of weeks, and especially during fantasy playoffs. So if you want to win your matchups, make some of these trades. First on the list, we have Joe Mixon. He's been out, and I'm sure the owner of Mixon must be very frustrated and wants something out of him. He plays the Cowboys, the Steelers, and the Texans. 2 out of 3 of those matchups are very, very good. You could probably get him for a low cost, maybe give up a wide receiver 2 and an RB3. So definitely try doing that. Next one is Derrick Henry. He's less than 19 points in the last 2 games combined. And his playoff matchup, as we keep saying, and we will continue to say,
great matchup.
Jaguars,
Packers.
Lions, and Packers. You can't really ask for a better schedule. He will tear it up in the fantasy playoffs and potentially win you your matchup. So go out and get him, please. Next one, we have Aaron Jones. He also has a great schedule. Carolina, Detroit, Tennessee. And he returned from injury, and he only had 13 for 46 in his first game back, and then 15 for 58 in his second game back. A couple of receptions also, but nothing too spectacular. And you could definitely get him for cheaper than you will be able to,
especially with the owners being nervous about Jamal Williams.
Exactly, Jamal has looked good in his absence for sure. I like Zeke here as a buy low only because of his schedule. I know he took a massive hit with Dak Prescott, and he's been averaging less than 9 points per game in that span. But his playoff schedule is against Cincinnati, San Fran, and Philly. And with Dalton back, he does get an upgrade, and you get it for very cheap because the Zeke owner is annoyed that Dak's out and he's just taking a massive hit. So go out and try to get him for low. Another running back, Christian McCaffrey, who was supposed to be back this week. Is not. Apparently, it's more serious than we thought, his injury. He plays the Broncos, the Packers, and the Washington football team if he does return. So yeah, go out and get him because the owner is once again very frustrated.
Especially if the owner is not looking good for the playoffs. If they have a chance and you can get something out of them and help them towards the playoffs while you're already locked into the playoffs, it's beautiful for you because the playoff schedule is great. And he's matchup proof. So if the team's not going to make the playoffs, they got to get someone in exchange for a player that won't even play for them until the playoffs.
Right. And if you drafted CMC first overall, there's a good chance your team take a massive hit and is in need of a trade ASAP. And then my last buy low running back is Austin Ekeler. He's been out a while, and nobody has really been so impressive in that Chargers backfield. I know Kalen Ballage has done decently. But once Ekeler comes back, and he will come back, week 13 projected against New England, he will take over lead back duties, and you're going to want him. He plays the Falcons, the Raiders, and the Broncos in his playoff matchups, and those are fantastic teams to play against. And he could be a potential league winner for sure.
And we know Ekeler has a really high floor with his pass catching ability out of the backfield,
especially with Justin Herbert at the helm. You have any RBs?
I got Miles Sanders. He played well. He had, I think, 15 carries for about 85 yards, and he had like 13 points PPR. People might be concerned because he wasn't like the 2 backup running backs each vultured a touchdown. Corey Clement and Boston Scott, I believe. But Miles Sanders played great for his first week back. If you're watching the game, you can tell he looks fresh. He looks ready to go, and he can definitely win you your league if you can get him low right now. And he's playing against Seattle, Green Bay, Arizona, and Dallas in 4 of the next 5 games. So those are great matchups.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal buy low. I love that a lot. Is that it for your running backs?
You pretty much covered the rest of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into buy low wide receivers. First one on my list is AJ Brown. When he came back from injury, he had like a consecutive 23 in a row weeks. He looked very good. This past game, he did drop like a 70-yard touchdown bomb, which would have given him a ton of points. But lucky for you, he didn't, and he only put up 3 points, and so you can go out and get him. His playoff schedule is insane. He plays the Jaguars, the Packers, and the Lions, so he's a must-buy low.
I'm a little nervous about him because his stats have been boosted by his big plays. He does seem to get one every single week pretty much, but I'm a little nervous, especially in the championship game against the Packers. He's going to be seeing a lot of Jair Alexander, who's definitely a top 3 cornerback in the league, and he might get shut down.
But if you are buying low, that means you're not giving up a lot for him.
Yeah, so see what you can offer.
So finesse some moves, talk to the owner and see what he's lacking and what you could offer him. Another one, Michael Thomas. His return from injury has been abysmal. Only 15 points in the last 2 games. That should change as he is one of the best receivers, if not the best in the NFL. He gets the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Vikings in his playoffs.
And don't forget who's throwing to him right now.
And Jameis is throwing to him, and we all know how Evans and Godwin played when Jameis was under center. So Michael Thomas could see a massive upgrade because of that. A pair of wide receivers here, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. They both had bad games. 13 points combined last game. They do have the Patriots, the Jets, and the Seahawks. Great matchups there, and they are very great. They're great receivers, and you could probably get them for a cheap price right now. I would do so if you can. And my last wide receiver is DK Metcalf, who I think is one of the best wide receivers in the league. He only put up 4 points, which is good for you because you could go out and get him. And he plays the Jets, the football team, and the Rams in his playoffs.
The problem is I don't know how low you can get him for because I think the owner really knows that he's a super good receiver.
Yeah, so you can't get him for too low. You can't get him for too low, but lower than you would have been able to the week before.
Yeah.
What do you got, Joe?
I got another pair of receivers from the Texans. I think Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks, they both played pretty poorly, but you got to look at the weather in that game. It was disgusting. They played in crazy winds and rain, and it was just not a great day for any receiver. It was a 10-7 game. No one really played too well. And Will Fuller has been one of the most consistent receivers in the league, and Brandon Cooks has shown that he's been the same since he got going. And I think you can get them both for low. I think Will Fuller might be the better option for the future, but Brandon Cooks, if you need a receiver, he's also a very solid option. That's what I got. What about you, Zach?
So other than that, I have Antonio Brown just because they have some pretty tough defenses coming up, like the Chiefs and the Rams, and so he's going to be open because he's the third wide receiver on the team right now. And he's been getting a bunch of targets. He has not put up a bunch of stats this year, so I think you'll still get him for low. And Jarvis Landry, actually, I think he's a big sleeper right now, just because his schedule is really easy for the beginning of the playoffs. He plays the Giants and the Jets consecutively, and he's gonna have great games in both. And he also plays the Eagles and the Jaguars and the Titans.
Still a little nervous about any Browns wide receiver because Baker Mayfield does not know how to throw a football.
I think just because
if you're watching this, I apologize.
I do not.
You got Deshaun Kaiser, Johnny Manziel, and Baker Mayfield. They're just not a good set of quarterbacks in the past.
Also a tight end, just because there's not that many.
Yeah, tight ends are a thin position. What do you got for us?
Mark Andrews, just because Nick Boyle just got injured. I think he's out for the rest of the season or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And so Mark Andrews is basically the only receiver on the team other than Marquise Brown, who has not put up anything. So he's going to be that whole offense right now.
I got Darren Waller on my buy lows also. I think he's the second best tight end in the league. He has a good quarterback throwing to him. Derek Carr's been having a very solid year, and Waller's been benefiting. This past week he didn't do too well because they were up early and they just ran the ball out. Devontae Booker and Josh Jacobs each had 2 touchdowns, so there wasn't much room for Waller to do well today.
In a league where Travis Kelce is by far the best tight end in the league, and then Darren Waller is the next best. If you could somehow get him, for sure, I agree with that. In terms of Mark Andrews, regardless of his talent, it's not his fault that he's been doing so poorly. It's Lamar. He just doesn't like to throw the ball, and when he does, he just doesn't do it well. So
speaking of Lamar, he's actually another one of my buy lows, and not because he's playing at an MVP level, and I don't think he will. I just think that with them losing against the Patriots, they're gonna go back to how they played last year and game script him a lot more rush attempts. I think they have to be more unpredictable in the future, but I think they'll need to run the ball more, and that'll give him a ton of rushing upside with maybe 50 plus rushing yards a game and maybe a touchdown, and that'll already have like 11, 12 points just off of running alone, and a couple passing touchdowns just takes him up to QB1.
Now, while that's great for Lamar owners, it's not great for the Ravens receiving core. Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, and Willie Snead. Willie Snead had a great game, 20 fantasy points. That's not going to happen again. You would love to see that for Marquise Brown as more people own him and Mark Andrews. But unfortunately, Lamar is not a throw-first quarterback.
But look at their schedule. They play the Titans, which have been proven to be one of the worst.
It's great for Lamar, for sure.
Yeah, no, they got the Steelers, which is tough. Then they got the Cowboys, the Browns, and the Jaguars.
That's a pretty easy schedule, honestly. But another quarterback, right now, I think that you should buy low as quick as you can because he will not put up as low numbers as he did this week, is Russell Wilson. If the owner is in need of a position other than a quarterback, then you should get him now just because he's not going to continue to put up a 13-point week ever. He's probably going to get 30 plus for the rest of the season. Yeah.
He's in a similar spot. Their team has not been performing. They're at 6-3, and they're going to need to win games. So Russell Wilson's going to need to. They're going to have to let Russ cook like they did in the beginning of the season.
Especially because the division is extremely tight right now.
No, for sure. I mean, if you're in desperate need of a trade, these are some great options. If you want to win your league, go out there, see what the team needs, make a nice offer, a low offer, and win that trade.
Win your league.
Listen to us, and you will dominate.